Okay, Shimon Rabbi Isai. Here we go. After Shabbos, after the Shir. Okay, we're back in Beis Chayenu. And we're learning a Maimed. As you can see, this is a Maimed from Shlach, a little bit behind. Shlach Lecha Anoshim. It's an interesting Maimed. I'll tell you why it's an interesting Maimed. It's an interesting Maimed because the Rebbe completely ignores, or almost completely ignores, what happened. We all know what happened. The Meraglim went, and they came back, and they said, no, we can't go. They ended up staying 40 years in the Midbar. So usually when you learn the Maimorim of Shlach, the way the Maimorim go is they explain the mistake of the Meraglim, or why the Meraglim were wrong, and how you're supposed to go into Eretz Yisrael. This Maimed dedicates to the Meraglim's mistake. It's in Mamish, the last page. Shin Mem. Yeah? The Rebbe dedicates like 8 lines, 10 lines maximum, to the mistake of the Meraglim, and he right away says, "Aval afal pikei vetnichespol." Here's a Maimed which tells the story of the Meraglim, and is bechlal not goydis what happened. In other words, the Maimed doesn't focus on the mistake that the Meraglim made and the teitzah, the negative effect of the Chet HaMeraglim. Rather, this Maimed is dedicated to Pasha explaining why the Meraglim was sent and how it was important to send Meraglim. And the Nekudas Abi that the Rebbe is going to bring out is that you have to send Meraglim. Okay. The Nekudas Abi it is that the Eibush had to send Meraglim to prepare Eretz Yisrael to be conquered by Yidden. In other words, the Rebbe is not going to teach, like you say, Bepashtus, that the Meraglim went to see what Eretz Yisrael is. The Rebbe is going to teach that Moshe Rabbeinu sent Meraglim to prepare Eretz Yisrael to be taken over. In other words, for Yidden to come into Eretz Yisrael had to be prepared to be taken over, and this was the kavanah of the Meraglim. That's just Maimed, basically. So we're going to start from the beginning. Okay, we're going to start on page Shin Lamed Dalet, and we're going to learn. People said Tzachloz. Okay? The Maimed begins, Shlach Lecha Anoshim, that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu to send Anoshim, to send people. The Yasura was Eretz Canaan. They should do reconnaissance. They should do spying on Eretz Canaan and Eretz Yisrael. So of course in the pasuk it says Shlach, you should send. But the word Lecha bothers Rashi. He says Shlach Lecha Shlach. What's the Lecha? Umefarish Rashi Shlach Lecha Ledaitecha. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, send the Meraglim according to your das. Now how do we normally teach? Shlach Lecha Ledaitecha? So Rashi says, Ani eini mitzava oisach. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm not telling you to send Meraglim. I don't think you need to send Meraglim. If you think in Daitecha, in your opinion, that you should send Meraglim, and Moshe sends Meraglim. But the Rebbe doesn't bring that part of the Rashi, right? The Rebbe doesn't bring that part of the Rashi that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Ani eini mitzava oisach. Rashi, Hashem tells Moshe L'daitecha. In this Maimed, L'daitecha is going to be a Maile. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu's Inyan is Das. And Shlach Lecha, why do you send spies? Because you have to give a koyach from the Das of Moshe. In other words, in this Maimed, we're not going to bring out that Klayochel Moshe made a mistake. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Ani eini mitzava oisach, I'm not telling you to send Meraglim. If you want, send. No. Shlach Lecha L'daitecha means Shlach Lecha L'daitecha. We have to send Meraglim. And the Meraglim have to be according to the day of Moshe. Again, in this Maimed, we're not goyres the mistake of Moshe Rabbeinu, Kvayachol. We're not goyres the ill effects of the Meraglim's trip, Kvayachol. We see it only as positive. In the entire Maimed, we're going to see the shlichus to send meraglim as a good thing, and it needed to be l'daite shel Moshe Rabbeinu, because you have to have Moshe's das in order to send meraglim, and so on and so forth. There's copies of the Maimon. If you came for the Shir, there's a copy of the Maimon. Okay? And the Rebbe continues, second line into the Maimon, that's what actually happened. Moshe Rabbeinu bochar ish echad lamata v'goymer. Moshe Rabbeinu selected one person from each shevet. Kel nasi behem, that each shevet had its own nasi. V'shalach esam lost to the tzar, sent it to go to do a reconnaissance in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, I trust you want to be here. Yeah, you're not forced to be here. Okay, so take a copy of the Maimon. The Maimon right here. Okay. So again, I just want to say this one more time. Here we have a Maimon that's going to study the story of the Meraglim, and is Bechlal not going to be goydus the mistake. Moshe Rabbeinu sends Meraglim, he didn't make a mistake. He had to send Meraglim. What about the fact that it says that Rashi l'daitecho? That was what needed. It was needed Moshe's das in the sending of the Meraglim. The Meraglim had a shlichus, and the Meraglim did their shlichus, and the Meraglim shlichus is important. In order for Yidden later to conquer Eretz Yisrael, the Meraglim had to go first. In other words, here's a Maimer which is telling the story of the Meraglim and only seeing the Chiyuv. It's not seeing the Shlila. The Meraglim had to be sent. They had to be sent L'daite Shel Moshe. Not that L'daite Shel Moshe was, Hashem wasn't happy. No. Hashem was happy. They had to be L'daite Shel Moshe, and that the Meraglim accomplished what they had to accomplish, even though they came back with a bad report, as you'll see. So the Rebbe has 4 kashas. And if you look in your text, you'll see Aleph Beis Gimel Daled. Page Shin Lamed Daled, 3rd line, Aleph. V'tzarech lahav, and the question is, what does this mean? Moshe Rabbeinu was the one whose das is involved in sending the Meraglim. And Shekibel Teda Messina, he got the Teda from Messina. Umisadoch Alachat Miyisrael, gave it to every single year. Now skip the next 2 lines. Skip the next 2 lines. Valachas Kama Vakam. To add further, Shezel Leirak Inyan Shal Das. The sending of Meraglim was not just a deya. Moshe had an idea. El Inyan Shal Ma'aseh Rav. Moshe sent the Meraglim bepoil. And we know what Klal and Aloch. You know a rule in Jewish law. Ma'aseh Rav. The greatest raya for a din is from an action of a Gadol B'Yisrael. If Moshe sent Meraglim, says the Rebbe Hari B'Vaylai Hoyse B'Zeh Kavon Nailas B'Yesed. Certainly, in sending the Meraglim was something very good. And again, we're not talking about what went wrong b'chlal. We're talking about what is the inyan of Meraglim, why they have to be sent. It's a good thing that they're sent. And dafke l'daite shel Moshe. Base, next question. For Eizes, the Tzveite Kasha is, Sha'afilu mitzad ha-Meraglim atzma. The Meraglim themselves, the Sheitach kulam anoshim. They all were anoshim. And it says in the Zayar, and it says in the Medrash, Shahoyu, Zakoyim, V'tzadikim, the Meraglim were pure and righteous. Ukafisha Mevi Gam Rashi V'Pirush Teira. Rashi brings down Shakol Anoshim Shebemikra Loshen Chashivas. Anytime you have in the Teira the word Anoshim, it doesn't mean people, it means prominent people. And Ksherim. So the Rebbe says, Kum Tachois, Moshe Rabbeinu sent Meraglim. Moshe Rabbeinu. The Meraglim themselves were, who knows how great they were. So aside from Moshe's end, and aside from the Meraglim's end, the Shiluach Meraglim is a positive thing. And I'm saying it now again. And in this Maimon, when there's no Afal Pikei, it's not going to be, but they made a mistake. There's no but. In this Maimon, we're telling the story of the Meraglim as a totally good thing. It was right for Moshe to send Meraglim, and it had to be done from Moshe's das. There's a diuk in the Maimon that Moshe Rabbeinu's Inyan is das, daite shel Moshe. It had to be das Moshe, and the Meraglim were good. Next, Gimel. Gam tzarech lahav. The 3rd question is, I skipped a couple of lines. I'm about 9 lines from the bottom of the page. Mahi hayirami. What's the lesson? The kiva jatayni nitzchas. Teda is eternal. How do you move? And for sure, sheyesh hayirah on nitzchas is an eternal lesson. V'chol sipur zeh in this story. Flag the heilige Rebbe, Moshe sent Meraglim. The Meraglim were anoshim, and they were kshedim. So from all sides you have tzaddikim. For sure, it's a good thing. For sure. So first of all, how is it a good thing? And second of all, what's the lesson? Here comes the point I told you. You have to have the das, the koyal Moshe Rabbeinu, das of Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Rebbe brings to us here a moed in the kevichtike vort. In Tanya Perek Mem Beis, Tanya chapter 42, right? You know this piece of Tanya. You have the Bavusta Zach. The Alter Rebbe is talking about Yira. About Yira. That you can't serve Hashem without Yiras Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe says Yid is not easy. Yid is not easy. The Gemara says Otu Yira Milsa Zutra Sehi is Yid an easy matter. Vata Yisrael Mo the Shem Lekecha Shel Limachkim Yira Otu Yira Milsa Zutra Sehi. Yiras Hashem is easy. And then of course Alter Rebbe adds Valachas Kama V'Kama Ahava. If Yiras Hashem is hard, Avas Hashem is harder. And the Gemara answers Yohin. L'gabe Moshe Milsa Zutra Sehi. Yiras Shamayim for Moshe is a small thing. Yiras Shamayim of Moshe is a milsa. Frag the Alter Rebbe and Tanya, wait a minute. Moshe Rabbeinu is not talking to himself. He's talking to Klal Yisrael, to us. And Kol Adin is Kula. And he's saying, Mo Hashem Alekecha Shel Ma'imach Kiyim L'Yira. Frag the Gemara, is Yira easy? Yeah, for Moshe it's easy. Wait a minute. If it's easy for Moshe, how is it easy for me? And the answer that Alter Rebbe gives in Tanya is that Moshe is the Midas Hadas. And because Moshe Rabbeinu is a Rebbe, a Nasi, we're coming from Gimel Tammuz, a Rebbe gives all of his inyonim to the whole dor. So the Das of Moshe we have also. I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Come closer.
Why the
I don't know. Also steht in Tanya. So since Moshe Rabbeinu's inyan is Das, he gives Das to every Yid. Every Yid has a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu in him. He gives Das. And therefore, Yid is easy. That's what the Rebbe says. Let's read it inside. He's the trusted shepherd. Skip the parenthesis. Yashne in Yonei Shel Moshe. Every Yid has inyan of Moshe. In each Yid. That this is actually so. That what? 3 lines from the bottom of the page, please. Hine. Since from Moshe Rabbeinu, Yira and Das is called in the Gemara a small matter, easy. It becomes easy for every Jid till the end of time. Why? Because the Midas Hadas of Moshe Rabbeinu we have inside of us. Moshe Rabbeinu is a Rebbe. And his Neshama is connected to the Neshama of every Yid. And the Midas Hadas of Moshe Rabbeinu is by us, and therefore we all have Yidden. So the Rebbe says, when Rashi says, Shlach l'chol l'daitecha, and we grew up thinking, as it says in so many Memorim and Sichos, that that's bad. Why? What are the next words? Ani eini mitzvah Yisrael. Comes the Rebbe in this Maimer, says, Shlach l'chol l'daitecha, stop. The Meraglim had to be sent by Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe Rabbeinu's inyan is Das. And because Moshe Rabbeinu's in his Das, and every Yid has the spark of Moshe Rabbeinu, it becomes the Das of every Yid. It's negate to the Das of Moshe Rabbeinu. And therefore to the Das of every Yid, you send Meraglim. The whole thing is 180 degrees. You've learned how many Sichas on Meraglim, and always when you learn Sichas on Meraglim, we see the mistake, Moshe Rabbeinu's mistake, the Meraglim's mistake, and of course the Yid's mistake, not here. No. Shlach l'chol l'daitecha, stop. Don't read the rest of the Rashi. The Shiluach HaMeraglim is a good thing, and it requires Moshe's Das, and it requires Kulam Anoshim Be'esa Shok Shedim Hoyu, because the Meraglim have to be sent according to the Das of Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Rebbe finishes the page, so for sure, Bevadi Yesh Heiror. If it's Moshe Rabbeinu sending the Meraglim, and Moshe Rabbeinu is the Midas HaDas, and the story of the Meraglim is specifically connected to Das, which is connected to every Jew. There's got to be a lesson for each one of us, b'chol mokem b'chol zman, always, all times and all places. B'negeya l'inyonim akshudim Eretz Yisrael haruchnis. B'negeya to the ruchnis de Eretz Yisrael. Top of the next page, u'v'kosher gam im Eretz Yisrael kipshuta. It's also connected to the Gashmis de Eretz Yisrael. How was it connected to the Gashmis de Eretz Yisrael? Right now, there's a churban. Eretz Yisrael is Golos. And when Mashiach comes, there's going to be a union of Geulah. So, Shlach L'cha, the Indian of sending spies, according to the Das of Moshe, to examine Eretz Yisrael, is Negeya to the Mashiach. Because when Mashiach comes, we're not just going to have a Ruchnizik Eretz Yisrael, we're also going to have a Gashmizik Eretz Yisrael. Next paragraph, Perek Beis, number 2. So we're learning the story of the Meraglim like as if it was a sweet story with a happy ending. That's how we're learning it. Now the Rebbe is not going to deny what happened. He's going to say inside that the Meraglim messed up, but he's also going to say, Vetnish Nisbo. Don't get discouraged by the mistake that the Meraglim made. We're learning a Maimeh that's going to explain Moshe Rabbeinu's das and the shiluch of the meraglim as a good, necessary thing that worked out favorably. That's how the whole Maimah goes. Yeah, that's how you learn Chassidus. 50 Maimorim, they all sound the same, they're saying 50 different. The Rabbeim and Chassidus explain what the meraglim are and why the meraglim needed to be sent. He says, the Hine. Yidden were meant to conquer Eretz Yisrael. Go out of the Midbar, which was a holy environment, go into Eretz Yisrael, conquer Eretz Yisrael, and settle Eretz Yisrael. Right? Skip the parentheses. You're going to come into a land which is normal. You know what normal means? You go to work. You don't sit in the whole day Bismedrish like you did in the Midbar, you go to work. They come into Eretz Yisrael and you act as farmers kipshute, who plow and seed and irrigate and harvest the land. Says the Rebbe, Hine. So you're going away. They were living in the Midbar, in a cloud, in a Naniya covered. Everything was Momailo. All they did was learning Torah. They're coming into Eretz Yisrael. It's a Gevaldike Yerida. Hine. Notwithstanding the fact, they're simple work. They're called regular activities, or even lower than regular activities. Nevertheless, since going into Eretz Yisrael and becoming a farmer and merik comes because it first said, the first pasuk says, the first thing that it says in the beginning of Pashas Bahar is when you come into Eretz Yisrael, it's Shabbos. Then it says, go to work, and then the 7th year is Shemitah. It says, the Rebbe, Azai kum techoysid, shegama in the shei shonim tizas adach v'shei shonim tizmechamecha nifam kedusha. You're going into Eretz Yisrael, you should know your mitzvah is Shabbos. 6 days a week you work. Every minute of the 6 days is a Shabbos day. The Rambam writes this. And everybody brings it down in the name of the Rambam, or not in the name of the Rambam, but the Rambam writes it. How come you have a Shabbos? Because Shabbos reminds us of the Creator. Because after day 7, you have day 1 again. After day 7 to come day 8. Why do you have day 1 again? Because everything has a beginning. Why is there a beginning? Because the Eibishter created the world. And it ends with Shabbos. The whole kavanah of the week is a day when everything ends, and it starts from the beginning again. That in all of the weekday activities of a person we're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, 5 lines from the bottom of this middle paragraph on Shin Lamed Hey. Going into Eretz Yisrael and becoming farmers made a dira le'isbarach b'tachteinim in all the prat. First he touches the word dira, darshan b'chol and yonav, and then he says b'chol atzmus. Now, I will tell you a mais. Tell me a mais. I verbring last night. I went to Borough Park. I thought Borough Park Jews are normal people. Fabrengen finished after 4 in the morning, and there were a lot of people there. They forgot to go home. I said, nobody has work tomorrow? They said, unemployment. 770 is already open, aber es nachhalts the unemployment. So if I bring a whole night, it was, I don't usually have such atzlacha. Yesterday was not a pasha today at all. It was Kodesh HaKadoshim. But if I bring, they tell a lot of stories. So one of the stories I told them was a mice with the Mittler Rebbe. Napoleon fought a war with Russia, and he lost. But he knew that the Yidden in White Russia, that means the Alter Rebbe's Hasidim, were against him. So when the French soldiers were retreating, when they were running away, they completely destroyed White Russia. They destroyed it. They burned every house, every business, every farm. Churm. B'chlal Yidden in Russia were poor. Nobody was rich. After the Napoleon War in 1812, Gimel, Yidden lost everything. The Rebbe once said in the Fabreng, I heard it myself in the Rebbe, as the Alter Rebbe's Chassidim seine Gewen Orim, Alachas Kama v'Kama the Chassidim for the Mittler Rebbe. That's what the Rebbe said. The Alter Rebbe's Chassidim were poor, and the Mittler Rebbe's Chassidim were poorer. They were mamish oisgerissen. But they lived in Ein Sof. The Mittler Rebbe taught them Chassidus, Yichudei Allah. Their wives and children were starving, and they were someplace between Akka and Ein Sof. So the Mittler Rebbe was worried about their parnasa. So he got from the government of Russia a huge area of land in the Ukraine, in southern Russia, which is very fertile. And at eingesetzt, he gave farms and parnasa for 2,000 mishpachas. 2,000 mishpachas then. Those 2,000 mishpachas grew to tens of thousands of mishpachas, and they were there till the Holocaust, till 1940, mamish. A kid said, so the Mittel Rebbe sent 2,000 mishpachas of Anash away from White Russia. To go away from White Russia, to go into the Ukraine on Parnos, and they didn't want to go. The Mishkavot gave, and they gave two reasons why they didn't want to go. The first reason they gave why they didn't want to go was because they're going to be far away from the Rebbe, and they're not going to be able to hear Chassidus. So for this, the Rebbe said, you know what? You go live in the Cherson, I'll come visit you. Every summer I'm going to come and visit you. The second time it was Chassidim farmers. Chassidim were a beaver hoot. You sit in the Besmedrich, you drink a cup of coffee, you speak to Rabbi Paltiel. Chassidim farmers. So for this, the Mittel Rebbe got really disappointed. It's a letter, very sharp letter. And the Mittel Rebbe writes, Yidden who got the Torah could be farmers, you could be farmers too. The Yidden who got the Torah at Sinai, their children were farmers, you could be farmers also. And when you get to the first thing, that the Mittel Rebbe said he'll come visit them every summer. He came one summer, and he spent the whole summer in Cherson. I don't know, a few months. Then he became ill. So he called the Reb Hillel Paratcher, Reb Hillel. He said to Reb Hillel, I made a promise that I'm going to go every summer to Cherson, but I cannot go. So I'm asking you to go as my shliach. And he told him the famous words, Zein Ruchnius und Schneiden Gashmis. You go to the Cherson, you'll plow, you'll seed Ruchnius, and you'll harvest, you'll collect Gashmis. Zein Ruchnius und Schneiden Gashmis. This was the Lashon that Rabbi Hillel went every summer to the Cherson for the next 45 years till he passed away. Every single summer Rabbi Hillel spent in the Cherson. He passed away in the Cherson. He's buried in the Cherson. They made an oil on his tzion. And you should know the Rebbe was born. The Rebbe was born in Nikolaev. Please. This is a class. I'm sorry. I know. So sit down. No. I'm trying to give a class, and you're busy doing your business, which is okay. But you can't do your business. That's a chavek. So Rabbi Hillel went, mamish, 45 years to the Cherson. He spent every summer there. And as I mentioned, the Rebbe was born in the Cherson. Now, the second thing I wanted to tell you is, the second thing I want to tell you is this. The Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, loved the idea of Frum Yidden farmers. He loved the concept of Frum Yidden being farmers. Because he felt that when you're closer to nature, you're closer to God, closer to the Baby Shlich. He told his son-in-law, the Rebbe the Tzemach Tzedek, he said to him, Herst Mendel, steht a Yid hinter den Acker, und der Dalet Kampf ist bloßen im Wind, und zwischen ihm mit den Eibischten ist keine Sache nicht verraten. He said to the Tzemach Tzedek, you hear Mendel, a young man stands behind the plow, behind the behemoth, behind the plow, and the tzitzis are blowing in the wind, and between him and the Eibishter there's nothing. The Mittel Rebbe loved the idea of a Yid being close to nature. So the Rebbe says in the Maimon, that's what happened. Yid went into Eretz Yisrael, they became farmers, and all of it was Kodesh, all of it was Dir B'Tachtonim, because the shtel was that they're making all of this into Shabbos. This is the story. Let's continue now. Omna, bottom of page Shin Lamatei. Omna, however, Kedei L'Shabbos. If Yidden's going in that, so on top, if you think about it, it's takapeladik. Yidden got the Torah. They were the highest of levels. And what did the Eibishter tell them? Lach lacha, go away from your holiness, go down into this world, and make a dira leis barach metachtenim. You can understand why the Merhaglim had an issue with it. The problem was only that you have to do what the Eibishter wants, not what we understand. Yeah? Says the Rebbe, Kedei Lishanis. And the Rebbe says in Yiddish, Ibermach, in order to transform. To conquer the physical world, says the Rebbe, You can't just march into Eretz Yisrael and make a dira b'tach toinim. You have to give koyach. What's the nesinas koyach? Two things. Number one, turn to page Shin Lamed Vav. The first year they got the Torah. What's the Torah? The Torah is the first step in the Nesinas Koyach to go into Eretz Yisrael and make a Dira Le'Yisbarach B'Tachtoinim. And the Rebbe says on the second line that the Eibush is Mevatel the Gzeira, Yoinim Yed L'Tachtoinim, Tachtoinim Yalal Yoinim, Vani Amasl. Hest, Yao Yidin went into Eretz Yisrael. The Koyach, pardon me, the koyach, the strength that Yidden needed in order to go into Eretz Yisrael comes from Matan Torah. Third line, top of the page, Ella. You see Ella? Ha'in de Matan Torah ha'ya b'midbar. Torah was very, very important. It was Mavatal de Gezeira, and it set up ala gute Zachen, but it's in the desert. Shu heipech me'eretz nesheves. It's the opposite of a farmer. Why? If you look in the fourth line, Mozen, Levush, Bayes, Milmayla, Lechem, min hashamayim, Mayim, me'eretz shamirim. They didn't live in a physical world. Food came supernaturally, water came supernaturally, clothing came supernaturally. The only thing they were busy in is in the midbar, and you have to say that the women did it also. The women were not knitting clothes. There's no reason to knit clothes. The baby was born, you made him one outfit, he wore it for his whole life. They were sitting and learning Torah Yom V'Layla. Yeah? So the Rebbe says, look at the last words of that first paragraph. B'meila lo yihutzrichu oz lavedas agashmi. First step in the Nesinas Koyach to make a Dira B'Tachtoinim is Matan Torah. But Matan Torah is only the first step. Why? Because Matan Torah happens in a desert. Matan Torah happens in a Madrege, which is above Adam. They have no shaykhs to the world. So let's be clear on the issue. Yidden are going to go into Eretz Yisrael to make a Dira B'Tachtoinim. In order for Yidden to go into Eretz Yisrael and make a Koyach, step one, Matan Torah. But then comes step two, next paragraph, number 4. Comes the next. Torah was a ruchnisdik. Now you have to conquer the physical world. By conquering Eretz Yisrael. It's with 7 nations. And the Rebbe says that these 7 nations are koilulim. It's called Shivim Umei Sa'elam, the 7 nations. I call all 7 nations in the world. And the Rebbe says such sweet things. It was very sweet things. Yeah? We daven every day for bracha of atzlocha and 1,000 things. And we face Eretz Yisrael, and we face Yerushalayim, and we face the Kedesh HaKadosh. And the Mashma says that there's 2 in Yom. You know why? First of all, Zeh Shar HaShamayim. That's where our tefillas are heard. And from there the answer to our tefillas comes, which reaches the bracha of atzlocha to the whole world. And the second thing is the beginning of all brachas Yisrael. Any bracha that the world is going to get has to start in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael Agashmi. So you have to conquer Eretz Yisrael Agashmi. And when you conquer Eretz Yisrael Agashmi serves its purpose of being the Zeh Shara Shamayim. It's the medium through which we all have a relationship with the Eibishter. So the Rebbe says this business of Dira B'Tachtoinim, this world has to become a home to HaKadosh Baruch Hu by being a farmer. You have to have koyach for it. The first step of the koyach is Torah, and the second step of the koyach is, you know what? Meraglim. Look inside. Last line on the paragraph. V'lachay. Page Shin Lamed Vav, middle paragraph, last line. Hoya b'shona hashenis ha'in d'shlach l'cha l'daitecha. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, send the meraglim according to the das of Moshe. Now listen very carefully to me. In this maimer, we're not teaching l'daitecha that ani eini mitzvah oisach. Moshe made a mistake. Punkt verkehrt. L'daitecha means that you need Moshe's das. It's a positive thing. The whole business of making a Dira B'Tachtoinim requires the das of Moshe. That's why the Eibishter says to Moshe Rabbeinu, l'daitecha. Today, Losur says, Kenan de lekaman, you have to do Losur. Losur means to do reconnaissance, to spy. The Rebbe is going to bring 3 translations of the word Losur. You'll see it momentarily. This is the Nesinas Keach of Dira B'Tachtoinim. The Eibishter wants us to make the world of Dira B'Tachtoinim by becoming farmers. To do this, you have to set it up. Step 1, Matan Torah. Step 2, Meraglim, and it's all good. The Daitecha is good, the Meraglim is good, the Shlichus is good, and this implication in this Maimer is that they did their Shlichus. The Rebbe is gonna, when you learn this Maimer, you get the impression the Meraglim are okay, weiter. V'ha'inyin, but the Rebbe explains. The Hine, The Pirush Eretz Canaan. What's like Eretz Canaan? We all know what Canaan means. Canaan is a country, right? It's one of the Shiva Mumis. For those who are not Mesim Lev, if you look in Pashas Noach, it says the names of the children of Shem, Cham, and Yefes. If you'll count up the names of the children of Shem, Cham, and Yefes, you'll find something shocking. There's exactly 70. You may never have heard this before. If you'll count up the children of Shem, all the names, and Cham, and Yefes, it's exactly 70. Because the 70 names in the Chumash are not 70 people. The 70 names in the Chumash are the Shiva Mumis Ha'ila. The 70 names. In other words, Shem, Cham, and Yefes had many more children, and certainly many, many more grandchildren. The names that are mentioned in the Chumash, these are the Shiva Mumis. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan Olav Hashalom has an English Chumash, which is called the Living Torah. It came out many years ago. And he relied on the Targum Shivim, on the Septuagint. The first Targum of Torah was in Greek, and it was against the Rasul of the Chachamim. But we have it. He knows Greek. I mean, I have the Septuagint at home. You can get on the internet in English. I have the whole thing. And he writes what the Shivim Umis are b'Poel. The Targum Shivim was made. I mean, there's indications that it happened more than once. In the beginning of Bayesheni, way before the Yedus Ben Azil, beginning of Bayesheni, the middle of Bayesheni. I mean, the Kehillah Mitzrayim was wiped out in the middle of Bayesheni. The Targum Shivim was made in Greek by the Tanoim. They were not supposed to do it. It was considered a terrible Chil Hashem. It was considered a very bad thing. But the fact was, it was made by Gedolei Yisrael HaMidia. And to say that they mistranslated, especially the way you know that they put them into 70 different rooms and there was no communication. So he relies on the Targum Shivim of the Septuagint, yeah? And he sees the English, the Greek translations of those 70 names, of the 70 Umes that are in the Chumash, and he has a map of the ancient world, and he tries to be Mishayir where they were. Where each one of the 70 Umes were in the ancient world. It's a fascinating thing. I don't know how accurate it is, I certainly don't know how helpful it is, but the whole idea is interesting, that he understands that the 70 words, 70 names of people, it's not just people, it's nations. So the Rebbe says you should know the Shoresh of Shiva Umes is the Shiva, the 7 nations of Canaan, Achiti, Amed, Afrida, Agosha, Ibusi, Achiti, and Aknani, or Amori. This is the 7 nations, which are marked of all the 70 nations. So Eretz Canaan is like a klal of klolim, yeah? If there are 70 nations, and those 70 nations are rooted in the 7 mides, which are connected to the 7, and all of those 7 together are called Canaan. So Canaan basically means all goyim, the ganze Welt. That's what the Rebbe is trying to propose. No? So if Canaan goes on all goyim, if you'll understand the word Canaan, you'll understand all goyim. So the Rebbe says, Mevara bein azokim b'tereir, right? And you know this. You know where you should know this from? Yeah, you're girls, yeah, you're women, yeah. From Eishes Chaya. You ever heard Eishes Chaya, yeah. Eishes Chaya goes on the neshama, and the husband is the Eibishter, because if Eishes Chaya is taka married to a boss of Adam, she has so much bittul, she works so hard, she's a manufacturer, she's a sales lady, and everything she earns, she gives away to her husband. What kind of feminism is this? Because we're talking about the Yidden and the Meibishter. In the Eishes Chayil, they describe the Eishes Chayil as a manufacturer. She makes schoira. And then she goes out into the street and she sells it, right? And one of the psukim of Eishes Chayil, it says what? Right? Sodin osasava timker v'achager machra laknani. Who's Knani? Knani means a businessman. The neshama comes into this world. Eishes Chayil goes on, the neshama comes into this world. When she handled, she's doing business. Why is she doing business? She wants to profit. Or the Gemara says, Taga, Zovin v'zovin tava ikre. If I buy something for $1 and I sell it for $1, I'm a businessman. If I buy it for $1, sell it for $1.20, oh, that's a geschäft. A Yid, the neshama leaves Gan Eden and engages with a soicher, with the Knani. Why? For profit. So the Taich Eretz Canaan means a place wo man kommt handeln. You come to do business and to profit. Sheknan pirush soicher, the meaning is a businessman. And Rashi says it in Chumash, in Pashas Vayeshev, Vaterad ish Knani, dat nu shmoi chira, vayered ish shmoi Knani, zot Rashi, Gavra Tagra, first line on page Shin Lamedar. Taiches the Rebbe V'inyan HaMischer, what's business? Shemashkiyim. Does anybody know Hebrew? Shemashkiyim. Anybody know Hebrew? the simple type of mashkiyim is you invest. But mashkiyim means you go deep into a hole. That's what mashkiyim means. You sink in. Why? You go into the business to profit. You go into the business and you come out of the Inyan HaMischer who klolus Inyan Brias Ha'olam. This business of profit is the basic reason why the Eibishter created the world and Kol Seder Shtalshlos Ha'olam and all of the Yerides. It's all about business. What is the business? So of course there's different ways to say it. There's Birurim, there's andere Sachen. Here the Rebbe says the business is Poshet Yerida Tzeirech Aliyah. The business is Poshet Yerida Tzeirech Aliyah. That's the business.